Welcome to Stories That Stay, how the stories of identity shape us. This is a podcast where healing happens at the intersection of art, science, and storytelling. I'm Shamm Petros, a therapist, learning strategist, refugee, and reluctant creative.
And I'm Dwight Dunston, a facilitator, educator, artist, and proud uncle. Stories That Stay is a project of Lion Story.
Together at Lion Story, an organization that is grounded in over 35 years of research in psychology, racial socialization, and human development, Dwight and I have spent the last 5 years training thousands of people to confront identity-based stress and transform their stories into tools for healing and change.
Whether you're an educator, organizer, artist, or someone simply trying to make sense of what you've been feeling in the world around you, you're in the right place. Our guest today is Osahon Tongo. Osahon is an Emmy award-winning filmmaker, writer, and director from Naperville, Illinois. His work spans cinematic storytelling, cultural commentary, and immersive media, always rooted in identity, legacy, and the complexity of the Black experience. As a director and producer on the Emmy-winning documentary series NFL 360, Tongo has earned 10 nominations and 2 wins. His standout work includes The Indelible Legacy of Jimmy Ray, The Chief Who Walked the Sea, and The Flyest Ever. He's also created content for the Super Bowl, the NFL Combine, and Draft, and more. Tongo was second unit director on They Cloned Tyrone, which is now on Netflix, directing the now iconic satirical chicken commercial. A WGA member, he's written for BET's Birth of Cool, and his short films have screened at Cannes and other international festivals. A USC MFA alum and former Georgia Tech football player, Tongo is a Ryan Murphy Directing Fellow and committed community member located in Los Angeles. So as we arrive with today's guest and his stories, we first want to prepare ourselves for the feelings, emotions, and truths that will emerge. And so we want to take a moment to settle in together. Wherever you are, we invite you to take a few breaths just for you. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Osahon, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
One way we like to just start the podcast is first by asking how you're arriving today. And also, we love asking folks to think about a scale from 1 to 10, a lot on this show and with this work. So how you're arriving, and then just on a scale from 1 to 10, how are you feeling about sharing your story today? With 1 being not stressed at all, 10 being like, okay, I could have used a few extra breaths. So I'm feeling a little bit stressed.
Yeah, I'm arriving. Kind of just woke up, so I'm at like 2. I'm not really sure. I don't have the time to be stressed. I'm kind of. It is what it is. Y'all are making a safe space for me to talk, and I appreciate that. And I'm kind of open book, anyways, for better and worse.
Appreciate that, and I'm gonna pass it over to my dear friend and co-host to take us through the next part of our time together. But so grateful that you've joined us.
Yes, thank you, Osahon. We love it, and we're about to really feel it, I think. Based on your bio and what we know about you, what got you to this space, you're no stranger to storytelling. Here at Lion Story, we do base our work around the science of it, studying how we're socialized to accept some stories about our identity and ourselves, and even socialized to carry out some behaviors. And most of our research is around identity, primarily race, but also gender and social class, all those matters. But we really do see storytelling as an art and science because there's a lot of data in it that we can really extrapolate, but as well as finding the poetry in it over time. So our work is really around the skills. So even Meeting with you, a storytelling architect of many regards, we do hope that maybe you could pick up a couple of skills. And for us in our work, we always start with our first story, no matter what. And for us, our first story is really asking you to go back into your earliest memory of difference that you can't recall. And honestly, whatever your body responds to, whatever imagery, memory comes to mind first is usually just right.
You know what? I think, like, earliest memory, so I moved a little bit. I was born in married student housing in West Lafayette, Indiana, and when I was, like, 2, I moved to Naperville, Illinois, and then I moved again and again. But, probably one of my earliest memories is, like, daycare center, and I'd be in daycare center, and we're playing around, and it wasn't like it wasn't race as much as, like, most of the girls in my class were white, and I thought because their hair was down that they didn't have ears. I would watch we would watch Little Mermaid, and she never had her hair pinned back, and I was just like, "These girls don't have ears. My mom has ears. Maybe they gotta grow up to get ears, but, like, none of these girls have ears." So I did and then we would play on the play like, I was, like, 4, and then I remember being on the playground and we wouldn't stop recess until someone got hurt, and it happened every day. And then my last thing was, like, going to there's a picture that I remember. I think I remember. I don't know if I'm remembering 'cause the thing, but, like, I remember my dad would, like, make French toast every morning or make some type of breakfast every morning before he dropped us off and went to work, and I remember he, uh, dropped us off, and then it was literally like I just started bawling, crying because the food they had at daycare was ass. It was so bad, and I was like, "This is not what my dad would do. This is not." And it was like, and then my dad, I wanna stop crying, so then they had to call my dad to come back, and he came back from work, and he, like, made French toast, and he brought it to school, and he cut it up and sat there with me so I could eat it. And I just remember just, I don't know, I finally, like, was quelled. And I think it's one of those things that might be a cultural thing. It's like the way that my dad put love into it and how it was always hot off the skillet, and it was just like, this is how I was receiving food, and this is how I was receiving love in a way, and it's like it was specific to I don't know because a lot of people have these stories of their mom, but I feel like for me, this specific story was of my dad. My mom used to make cakes from scratch and do a lot of different things too, but, like, I just remember that loving embrace. So that's probably one of my earliest thing, and I think for me, I was like, "Y'all eating this food? This food trash." Like, I felt like I was that guy.
Oh my gosh. And you were 4.
Yeah, probably 4 or 5, at the max 6.
And then your dad with the breakfast, making you breakfast in the morning. When people tell us stories, there's these wonderful, beautiful details, but sometimes, oftentimes, Dwight and I are looking for other details. I think before you answered, you were smiling. Of course, there was laughing. Like as you were like picking a moment, I can already see like the smirk emerge. You introduced it as maybe not so racial, maybe a bit more gendered. But a question I would love to pose for you as you're reflecting on these memories, these moments, these encounters, can you name every feeling that you're feeling for us?
And I name every feeling.
You're feeling.
Uh, I mean, I think that it's a silliness, it's a naivete, it's a innocence, it's a beauty. Um, there's, gratitude for my dad, this scaredness, this frustration, and then there's like a comfort, you know, as I like hop into that moment, right? Like right now, I'm just kind of feeling like I'm just telling the story and,
Uh,
giving, yeah.
Getting into the story, it takes scaffolding, warming up. Back to you, the emotions you've pulled out. A silliness, naivete, innocence. gratitude, little scared slash frustration, comfort, comfort. Any of these feelings you think you could rank for us 1 to 10, giving us an indication of their intensity?
Me, I think everything is so distant that it's like there's not I think, everything is kinda like a 4 intensity. I think like the peak, it's like as we tell stories, there's always like a chart, there's a graph, right? And, you kinda get to different midpoints in different parts of this storytelling structure
Mhm.
and they ebb and flow. So I mean, I guess the end of it is always gonna be the most intense of it. But yeah, I think like that, that comforting part is probably like the most intense feeling because that's what I'm like. That's the core of it. The rest of it is exposition.
So you would put the other emotions at a 4, comfort also at a 4?
Be six.
Full. And in our world, feeling is around range, but also depth, right? Because for us, we train people to help really be able to discern and distinguish between a 4 and a 5 and a 6. It could be anger, it could be confusion, but when we look at folks who are telling stories for a living or maybe in a professional caregiving position like a preschool educator, right? We really try to give people that awareness and a distinction because a lot of us are tuned for best, worst, maybe somewhere in the middle. Um, so I love that you're at a 4, and I'm curious what that 4 and 6 actually is, right? For distant memory, and a mostly very comforting memory. To help us get at that a little bit more, I'm gonna ask you, with your consent, is there anywhere in your body you feel any of these emotions?
Me, I think I carry stress in my lower back mostly. When I feel better, stronger, like more positive emotions, I carry them usually in my heart center. Usually, like my shoulders will relax and come down. And I think that's a function of breath as well, you know, because it's like we have a tendency to brace ourselves and hold breath, where it's like, okay, now it's free to kind of move and circulate throughout my body.
So as a more positive memory, do you feel it in your heart and shoulders today? Or does it still feel distant?
Yes, I guess it's in my heart. Yeah.
And I guess to push you a little further, how do you know you feel it in your heart?
I don't know. I feel like my heart's open. It's warm.
I like to push for details. Sometimes when we work with children, they're very good at details. They'll be like, it's like someone colored it in and left a part. Or, there's a narrative Dr. Stevenson usually shares around working with a 7-year-old Native American girl outside of Chicago. And they taught them the skill. And she said something to the likes of, feels like a bunch of butterflies are fighting in my stomach and they're like trying to get out and they're stuck in my throat. So for us, we can never place any judgment or assessment on how or where you feel it, but the details are what we think. Is it a pinch? Is it a tingle? Is it like a fluttering? Is it a color you see? You said open, so you feel open. Your heart is open when you think of this memory.
Mhm.
And then your shoulders as well. Now, kind of to take you back to the content of the memory, are there any images, and I'll encourage you to take a breath even before answering, images that come to mind? And you said something in the beginning that you're not sure if it was a complete memory, but at this point you feel like it is. Like images, real or made up, anything that comes to your mind as you reflect on this moment.
Well, I have an image of I had a birthday party at school and like we were like sharing cake and my dad was there. But the French toast was specific. And I think like that was a
Hmm.
specific day. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know how like sometimes memories are super clear. Like, when I think about, like, when I used to play football, it was very clear, a little dark, but very clear. And when you look at the footage, because the footage didn't save well, it looks like everything from, like, 2008 looks like it was from 1992.
Mhm,
Hmm.
It's just very vintage, and it's just like, why does digital not save well?
mhm.
Why does um but our memories can have, like, a sepia tone sometimes, and sometimes they're very, very clear. And I think part of this memory has, like, this, like, foggy film grain on it, and part of it is, like, vivid emotionally. Yeah.
The vivid parts are the emotion, although they for you are existing on a 4. But that vividness is just like they're clear emotions.
Yeah, like, well, let me think. Because there's some images, like, I have snapshot images in my head, like, even the taste. And then I know we were watching Little Mermaid because I was like, "Ariel doesn't have any ears either." But, like, as far as, like, yeah. But, like, again, this is, like, such an early memory, like, you've gone through so much different trauma in your life that, like, um, to feel the intensity of it, like, at that time, it might have been and, like, it might have been a 10 at the time, you know?
Hmm.
It's like, because it's everything's based on your perspective. So, and, like, for it to be one of my first memories, I'm just like, it must have been a 10 at the time. Because like, every time a baby cries, it's a 10, you know?
Listen,
Hmm.
They don't really have they don't have a throttle.
listen. And I wonder how you would react now if somebody gave you some horrible food versus back then.
Yeah, I'd react horribly. I get really frustrated with bad food.
Mm.
Bad food and bad movies make me really upset. I don't know. I love pancakes. I love breakfast, but if it's not maple syrup, I'm like, you don't care. Because if you've had, if my thing is like, if you've had real maple syrup and you've had like corn syrup, what
Right,
they give us, then why would you ever go back? It's
right,
like once you try strawberry jelly, you're not just saying like, oh, I'm going to grape jelly because I like it better.
right. Why would you do that?
Why would you do that to me
Why would you do that? Right. It's
or
disrespectful
to
to
yourself?
yourself and it's disrespectful to me.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, why are you making us suffer for your poor decisions? But on the converse of that, when you do have good food, there's one of my favorite restaurants over here called River. Every time I go in, it's like a hug. It's like,
Mm,
and it's kind of like it's like the bear in the sense that like the chefs are like Michelin star chef, but like it's it's not unapproachable. It's like Japanese tapas food
hmm.
and every dish is like got the perfect sauce. It is my like cheers. It's my expensive cheers.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Wow.
You know, I'm like really curious. Did your dad actually say anything or did you just do?
I don't remember anything. My dad is a man of very little words. He just does. But yeah, but the way he shows up, because even like I had to get my knee replaced in September. And the way he like showed up and was cooking for me kind of gave me a flashback, right? Like he was like cooking food. He's like, the doctor said you needed a lot of protein, so I did all this and I did, he was just like making sure I was like taken care of in a way, and I'm hopped up on the medications and in pain and agony because of like the surgery and the way he was just, like, very nurturing is just, like I think that's more of the core of the essence of the story.
So also
Mm.
like bringing it back to, I guess, a more current encounter memory with your parent. Is this a pattern? Like how he would respond to stress or the need to care for you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's the basis of my understanding of parenting. It's, like, between sacrifice and nurturing. So there's certain times where I feel like my parents sacrifice, but there's certain times where I feel like my parents were, like, sacrificing a lot to make sure that we had. And
Mhm.
then there's certain times where I was like, them just showing up in this way. But then there were certain times where I was like, my dad didn't he's not to throw the ball in the backyard, come to every practice, but he's gonna put you in every sport, pay for the lessons, make sure like, go over your homework with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
Right.
playing to different strengths. So,
Right.
I think everybody has their strength and everybody has a different style of parenting, but I
Mm-hmm.
think, like, when we're looking at, parents, we're looking at partners, we're looking at all these things, it's like, I always tell this story this, like, in dating, I said this, like, I don't want my grandkids to have a Uber Eats grandma. Because every time, like, somebody talks about their grandma, it's like, "Oh, she has this cookie recipe, and she has blah, 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 and she makes the best casserole," or whatever, and if you're Uber Eats and my grandkids, you know what I'm saying? That's a horrible memory. It's like, yeah, like, oh, she ordered Pizza Hut for us. It's like Pizza Hut is cool for the auntie that
Mm-hmm.
randomly comes into town and takes you bowling, but it's not cool for your mother or your grandmother to be like, that's the
Mm-hmm.
fondest memory.
Yeah. And I would just really hear that juxtaposed against your experience of family bringing food in to the kindergarten, right? Or family coming to your side while you're healing your knee.
Yeah.
Like they're not ordering you. Well, I don't know. Maybe also your dad also ordered food, but I've really
No,
heard like,
it's also he's cheap, so he's
right,
not
right, right.
he's not gonna do that.
I want to get into this beautiful thing you said about parenting in just a moment, but I'm just curious as we sort of close or maybe put a bookmark on that memory that happened 4 5 6. You brought us into some of the images. Any other self-talk things you were saying to yourself, either that you remember saying as a young person?
No, I mean, not really. I all I remember is being like, man, I hope someone doesn't get hurt. And then at recess, because you just want to be at recess. And then it's like someone's gonna get hurt. And you can kind of time it up because recess was getting long. And then I was just like, someone's about to fall off a slide. And then it happened, and you're like, damn. Like,
Wow.
snack time.
Right, right, right. Come on, man. Why you had to fall? We was out there. Why you had to fall off the slide, man?
I love that, that the memory provided comfort, affirmation, like, and it's so protective in a way. You're uncomfortable, and your dad came and changed that. And you describe comfort and gratitude all generally out of four for this seemingly distant memory at the moment. And you extrapolate it a little self-talk, but more about the images. If you can imagine, Asahan, like redoing that whole moment, going back in time, maybe the moment where you're getting a horrible cold breakfast and you're very upset. If you could redo that moment in any way, would you? And how would it be different?
I don't necessarily have agency in this memory. I very much see it from a third person point of view. And I don't think there is a thing that needs to be done differently. Like, I
Mm,
don't think there was anything in my what's interesting is, like, I don't think until maybe yeah, there's maybe 2 moments in my whole life before the age of, like, 16 that I feel like I should have done something like, I really was like, "I do
mm,
my best every day. I do what I can. I work hard." Like, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't really feel like there was any, like, missteps. I think everything happens for a reason, and, like, kids cry.
yeah. And maybe thinking about the other characters in that memory, if you can. Would you have want them, or even curious if they've done moves differently?
No, I don't know, like, not really. I don't wanna change that.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Everything was created for perfectly for this story to be what it is. Like, there was probably 20 other days where the food was straight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those every other day, it was an emergency for my dad to leave work to do this,
mhm.
you know?
This one. Do you think the distance you have from the memories because of time or because it's just like a protected memory you enjoy?
No, I think it's time. I think it's like even, it's like I had to kinda mine and find that memory, but, like, I don't yeah, I don't it's because I think, like, some of this is more, if this was a traumatic incident, then I'd probably feel a different way, but I feel like it was, like, more so it was a moment of receiving,
Mhm.
like, the agency I had in the moment was to voice my opinion through the language that I knew at the time, which was crying.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's great use of your voice in that time and space, and it was received. Um, it and I think the part of it is, like, too, when we look at how we're socialized, right, from our caretakers, what messages we receive and eventually adopt. I'm curious for memories that did go well, right? This is what we ask people when they say, "No, this was an affirming, solid memory." Would there be a lesson you wanted to extrapolate from it that you would share?
yeah, I mean, I think I'm very blessed to have loving parents, you know?
Yeah, you are.
Especially because, like, the concept of it is, like, daycare is where you go to forget about your kids.
I just have the image of your dad coming in with a skillet with French toast and everyone else eating, like, that box cereal, the little mini boxes, and I was like, "Ah," and you're just like, "See? This is better."
Yeah, I'm curious about, his days, his work, calling, what did he do when you were that age?
But he was a chemical engineer. He's been a chemical engineer my whole life. He's worked at yeah. He's worked at Amoco BP the whole time, so
Mhm.
Do you think he remembers this moment?
I told him about it, and he's like, "Huh, okay."
And if you could, this being your first memory of difference, first story about difference, if you could give this story a title, what would it
French
be?
toast at daycare.
French toast that they care. Love it. I really see you like I don't know why now the imagery is really running with a little tuxedo and the only one, but French toast that they care.
Yeah, I'm thinking about your love of river, this restaurant. And yeah, we were talking about just your love of food and good eating. And I'm also thinking about someone once said that young people are just the best activists because when they're upset, right, they just let you know. They just cry. They don't have that range. They don't have that spectrum. It's just like, I'm going to just let you know this is an injustice. This food is an injustice. And I'm going to make it known. And food has so much language and, it's a love language for many people. Maybe not the words, but like feeding someone well really can show you how much they care. And you said your dad wasn't, it might not have been this person backyard and throw the ball kind of thing, but he showed up in all these other ways. And just breathing into those experiences or just really thinking about the ways he has shown up and shown care, whether years ago or whether in September, if there's any new emotions or different emotions or salient emotions as you breathe into that.
Are there any new emotions pertaining to
Pertaining to pertaining to him. He's a big figure in this early memory, early story.
Yeah, I mean, my dad's been dealing with some health issues, and seeing him mortal, his mortality was like, "Do I need to jump to fly home?" And my mom's like, "Nah, he's okay, it's blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "No, do I need to da, da, da?" And I'm calling him every day to check on him and see how he's doing, and it is one of those things where it was like every slight tear in his cape, you know what I'm saying, rocks me a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that's one of those things that, like, I'm dealing with because I grew up in pretty much my core family is just, like, my parents, my 2 brothers, and then I have, like, they had their I think, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 other aunties that, like, I kinda grew up around, but even them, they were in different states, Seattle and Dallas. So we
Mhm.
were like this core nuclear family for most of my life. So, like, my maternal grandparents died before I was born. my paternal grandparents, I think my grandpa died when I was a kid, and then my grandma just died in like 2020, and they were all in Nigeria. So I didn't really, I didn't shed too many tears for family members passing, right? So
Mhm.
I think when people were like, "Oh, I'm going to my grandma's house," or "My grandma passed," I'm like, I can kind of sympathize that that might be sad, but I don't really know what that feels like at all.
Mhm.
So yeah, and that plays out in an interesting way too, because most of the funerals I went to were young funerals.
Mhm.
So it'd be like random friends dying, and then so it changes. All that to say, a challenge. My experience with mortality is very. I don't know. I guess it might be different than other people's because of this immigrant experience, because of the closeness and the tightness of my nuclear family, and then also like the distance that I have now, because 'cause they're in Chicago, I'm in LA, you know? So it
Mhm.
does, it is one of those things.
Mhm. And yeah, I'm holding all of that, appreciating. Yeah, you just bringing us in, and maybe it's my turn to just the little push. But when you see the holes in the cape, just to go back to that moment, what's the feeling? Is it worry? Is it fear? Is it sadness? Is it
Fragility.
nostalgia? Is it fragility? What's the feeling?
Yeah, it's fragility. Yeah, it's worry and concern. It's one of those things. It's like, is this world gonna be rocked, and how will I cope? How what does this mean for the whole bedrock of our family?
Mhm.
And how will I be able to step into the patriarch role
Yep.
in our family?
Yep.
Because it's so nuclear, right? It's not like it's, oh, there's a net of like other family members. It's like, okay, you're the most responsible one now. So step up, and you got to make more money because you got to do this, this, and that. You got to look after these people. And like,
Yep.
he's the oldest male and out of his brothers and sisters too.
Yep.
So he's the one delegating all the stuff. He's the big chief, the one that's like, this is the land passed down from generations and generations ago that we have to disseminate and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
I mean, and I think like it's weird because it's like the way our economy has gone, and the way like I think the privilege I've had to chase my dreams as an artist also is on the back of somebody who was focused on structure for their whole life.
Mhm.
And then as that pillar gets wobbly, you're sitting here like, okay, is this dream gonna die? Do I need to pivot?
Mhm.
The pressure's on for me to make it. And
Mhm.
then it costs 10 times as much to be that pillar now. Like, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like if you made, if you was a six figure back then, you was that dude. Six
You set up the
figures right
hole.
now, you like, bruh, I'm trying to get out this one bedroom apartment. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's like, I don't know, the economies of scale make it kind of terrifying to be
Mm.
the man of the house
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
and have dreams and have
Yeah.
emotion. This is the thing. If I didn't grow up with my dad, I
Hmm.
wouldn't be crying for shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
cause
Yeah.
it's like you don't have the opportunity, you don't have the space or the room. You can't investigate your feelings because we got to put food on this table. We got to do this, this, and that. You got to make it to the league, son. It's like, bruh, we got to make it because it's like you don't have enough space, and I
Right.
got so much space.
Right.
And we're not rich by any means, but it's like I think rich in character, rich in, in values.
Mhm.
If I remember coming out here to LA, and I remember I went through school, did well in school, and then like I was like trying to figure out things, and I was just around people who was just popping it, popping shit. And I was like, okay, that's how you gotta be to move here. And then I went back home and my dad's like, and just being around him saying stuff, he was like, I was like, yeah, you're right, I'm tripping. You know? But it's just this calming presence. He didn't have to say anything.
Mm,
He
Mm-hmm.
just looked at me and I was like, this is not, you know what I'm saying? This is not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like, yeah,
yeah.
me maturing into this force of like discernment, this
Mm-hmm.
force of like, okay, you guys are playing, but like this is it. You know,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
the truth. It's more of it's because it's an aura. It's an essence of honor and truth.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Like cowards cower in front of strong people.
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I want to bring Shamm back in here, but just
yeah.
really quickly, I want to just say, because that was an incredibly rich tapestry of nodes and moments you took us through, right? That all started with this. My initial was just like thinking about your dad and
Mhm,
him now, right? And you took us through like his fragility. You took us through like what's my role as in the family. You took us through like cowards cower, and somebody who stands 10 toes down, right? There's just the emotions right now inside of me. I'm like, whoa, I feel like passion at a 10, and like loyalty at some pride at a 10 inside myself hearing you talk. And I'm just really quickly before passing it back to Shamm, I'm just wondering if you can name like what's one feeling you have right now, and then if you had to scale it, let's scale from 1 to 10 in terms of intensity, and then also if you notice it where it lives inside you. So that pride lives in my chest at a 10, right?
mhm.
I feel empowered, inspired at a 10, in my shoulders from hearing you talk. I'm curious just what feelings alive for you after that story. Some more story sharing.
Yeah, I think it's pride and thanksgiving,
Yep. Scale
you
from one
know.
to ten,
Um, say like an 8, 9.
and where you feel it.
Feel it in my chest for sure.
Pride and Thanksgiving, 8, 9, in your chest. Thank you. Shamm.
Yeah, very grateful. I'm curious, you said pride and Thanksgiving. I think earlier you said gratitude at a 4, now maybe Thanksgiving at a 8. How did you notice that difference?
I mean, I
How do
think
you
it's more present, right? Like I think it's just more present more than anything, right? Because you also, I mean, if you looked at my talking patterns, it started off kind of like me recounting a story
Mhm,
and trying to bring that from the ether into the presence. Like
mhm,
when I was just talking, I was speaking stream of consciousness, present moment. So I think like the virtue of time being the uh the
yeah,
amplifier of the emotion, and and also it's like, you know, it's like there's pride, thanksgiving, but there's also concern and fear, right?
mhm,
There's also, you know, uh those things. But I do think like I feel confidence that divine consciousness is working
mhm,
through and for us, and that like the fear is a motivator that can get behind you and it can be gelled and moved around, right? It's like
mhm.
a energy more than it is like an actual sentence.
Yeah, especially if you can name it, but regulate it, recalibrate it, those things, place it somewhere where it makes sense, right? The fear of the unknown, the future, um, and proximity, right, to these experiences, as well as time as being a big catalyst for how we feel them and how intensely.
Mhm,
I do I feel a lot of pride. There's ways in which I feel proud of your father, never met, and, like, I feel it in my cheeks, you know? Just to I think it's a really, like, beautiful, like, quiet little revolution he could have, to just really make space for your feelings. Being an African migrant or African myself, so many times you get, well, you can't be upset about this because it's so much worse X, Y, and Z, right? Or there's always this nullification or disqualifying our very human childlike feelings. I feel like sometimes we're not allowed to be kids, right? Because they're focused on building structure. But there was like a little delicacy literally with him giving you food, but giving you space for your feelings, to take up all this space, to cry, to feel joy, and to not feel guilty about it at all, right? To actually be like, yeah, of course, this is what I'm supposed to do. Um, I think is really resounding. If we had more time, I would ask questions around how you provide protest or protection in moments like this, if it's similar to your father or different. But I think for now, we do have to wrap this glorious storytelling experience, taking us to a moment, affirming moment, to all the ecosystems of thoughts and even like present ways this comes up for you. Yeah. Also, to help summarize for us, you said you would name the story French Toast in Daycare, at Daycare. We have the log of your feelings, but the very, 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 very first question we asked you is, did you feel stressed about telling the story? You said 2. You just woke up. Can you scale that again now as you've told your story? What's your stress level right now after sharing the story, 1 to 10?
Mm, probably 2.
Okay. No, it was great, honestly. Yes. We're gonna ask maybe Dwight to give us a little breath as we wind down.
For Osahon, I also know you do some breath work as well. Is there any way that you like to breathe with others, rest into your breath?
I'll do a little box breath.
Great.
Box breath is probably the best thing for parasympathetic nervous system. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold,
Hold,
2, 3, 4. Out,
out,
2,
2,
3.
3, 4.
Hold, 2. Hold. Out. Hold. In. Hold. Out. Hold.
Thank you for those breaths.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Stories That Stay, how stories of identity shape us. This podcast is a project of Lion Story. If you found value in today's episode, please consider leaving a review, subscribing, or sharing this with someone who needs it.
Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and please keep telling your story. And remember, you are your most important listener.